Last Pint Productions presents the New Way podcast. The New Way contains adult content, and new episodes are released most Wednesdays. So back off, man. We're professionals. Listener discretion is advised.
So you were in Vietnam, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah?
Were you in the shit?
Yeah, I was in shit.
Last night, Darth Vader came down from planet Vulcan and told me that if I didn't take Lorraine out, that he'd melt my brain.
Here's how you get him. He pulls a knife, you pull a gun. He sends one of yours to the hospital, you send one of his to the morgue.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.
Everybody wants to be naked and famous. Everybody wants to be just like me. I'm naked.
Will you help teach me about this? What is it? A new way?
Hello and welcome back to the New Way. God damn it!
The New Way. God damn it!
Welcome. I'm sorry.
Damn.
I got literally as I started talking, I got a frog in it. I couldn't get. Welcome to the New Way podcast, where we break down pop culture so you don't have to. I'm one of your hosts, Matt Shank. I'm joined in the studio by Mr. Benjamin Scott Wilson.
Hi, and Matt, you just got so emotional that you were overcome there.
I was choked
You
up.
gave a clip.
And coming in just sounding gorgeous today from the West Coast, Mr. Nick Santacroce.
Oh, you're too...
You're
You're too kind, Matt. Sorry. You're too kind. Thank you.
Really, we just had like a whole conversation, and as soon as I spit out the
Where-
goddamn intro to this thing,
Where is the mute button?
yeah, I should have used the Bob Uecker cough button, but I decided
We don't get rusty on the New Way podcast. We just get phlegmy.
You know what else we don't do in the New Way podcast? Edit. So
that's
everyone
true.
will hear
That's
all
true.
of this, and that's fine. Most other podcasts would be like, "Hey, why don't we do another take of that? Let's start over." No, we don't have time for that. This is.
It would be easy. I mean, at the very beginning of the podcast. The
It's.
first
I mean, but
5 seconds.
I think this is what people want, though. I think they want the unpolished, unvarnished New Way podcast.
I think you underestimate what people want.
I think that's
No,
correct
don't-
in every aspect of my life.
Overestimate what people want.
You overestimate, yes.
I think that's the most accurate thing anyone said about me in all aspects of my life. Well, thank
After
you,
Ben's correction, it was accurate.
yes. Well, thank you for joining us. It has been a long time since we got together on the pod. We are very excited to talk to you once again, and we have one of our kind of just random thrown together hodgepodge episodes, which personally are some of my favorites, to be honest. I like when we kind of just come in and
Well, we have a lot.
chat for
We
a
have a
bit.
lot to talk about.
We sure do. I have a list of all. Well, first of all, welcome to 2024. We made it. The world didn't end. This could be the last year of the world, but
Oh yeah, this will be the last one for sure. So
this is it.
get those Dune popcorn buckets and fuck it like there's no tomorrow. Tomorrow is not guaranteed.
wow.
Well, so I mean, I think it's funny that we initially were in on that meme, and then SNL was just like, you know what, we're going full bore into it as well.
Oh yeah, they did quite a fantastic sketch on it.
And
I will say.
And every press junket, they're having the actual cast talk about it and handle it and touch
all-
it.
yeah.
I mean, on Fallon, on TikTok, it's like, okay. And you know what? They don't look tired of it. They don't
No.
even look annoyed. They're like, yeah, we'll talk about the sandworm fleshlight popcorn bucket as much as you want. Maybe like in their contracts, they get a percentage of the sales of the fleshlight sandworm popcorn bucket.
Was it? I think you was it you that sent me was it the Vogue one of them, and just every one of them is just like each one of it loves it more than like Brolin's just like, this is amazing, and they're all just like poking at it. Like it's wonderful. Like what an amazing way to promote this movie in such a bizarre fucking way. I can't get
you
over
better
it.
believe. I mean, I
knew
am
what
the
they were
guy.
doing.
Our friend of the podcast, Mike Morani, every time we're at Disneyland or Universal, he'll get the giant $50 promotional popcorn bucket, no matter what it is. And I never bite. I never bite in those promotional cups or buckets that come with. Oh, I'm buying that bucket.
Did you say buckets of cum? Did I hear
No.
buckets of cum?
It's a fucking a fucking.
Mr. Bucket, buckets have come.
Definitely heard buckets of cum.
No, but Freudian slip then. They will eventually be full of cum.
Get your 2 buckets of cum.
For those
Mr.
that
Bucket,
may not follow this.
Yeah, we should maybe set this up. I suppose.
Maybe explain a little bit that as a
come on, if you don't know what the Dune 2 sandworm fleshlight popcorn bucket
Baltimore?
is, you wouldn't be listening to this podcast. You're not in the demographic.
Dune 2.
Dune.
Over in Ocean City, we watched Dune. Ew.
Dune.
I'm gonna jump that popcorn's pounds.
Ben, please explain for the listeners that do not know.
It's a giant promotional bucket of popcorn that looks like a fleshlight, and you fuck.
First of all, it does not actually look like a fleshlight. It looks like one of the sandworms with a gaping
hole
of
where your hand is supposed to go.
But it looks. Listen, I'm just speaking for myself. It looks far too sharp to fuck.
I don't know. You seen people finger that thing?
I don't like
it's like silicone,
it's like
rubbery phalange, like little phalanges. What do you call it? Little bristles?
Phalanges.
Like the mouth. Phalanges. That's our fingers. But like in animals, the hairs in the throat that keep the food down. It's like those. You stick your hand through that.
You know those little spikes on the outside of the worms and trimmers? Well, just imagine those on the inside.
But they're soft and silicone, medical grade silicone.
Yeah,
they look. I don't know. They looked pointy, too pointy to me. I'm not.
Well, that's the point. It's the illusion of danger.
I'm not putting my dick in it. That's
the illusion. It's the illusion of danger and the reward of medical grade silicone.
Well, apparently, Matt, you don't have a thing for vagina dentata.
I'm scared. I'm so scared since teeth of that. I just can't do it.
And meanwhile, James Gunn is just kicking himself for the lost opportunity when Teeth came out.
It would have been fantastic.
James Gunn didn't make Teeth.
Who made Teeth?
I forget the name of the filmmaker.
But yeah, it is not a Gunn movie.
Guy.
Did Gunn make a movie about?
He made Slither that has little popcorn Dune cum buckets, but not like full. Well, eventually they become a full size one. Michael Rooker becomes a big one. Anyway,
okay, fair enough. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. We did.
All right, well we got that out of the way.
I think we covered everything, guys. It was so great to talk to you tonight.
Good pod. Good pod. See you later.
Well, so God, I don't even. There's no way I can hard pivot into where I was going to go to next. So let's
hodgepodge it, baby.
Let's put that on hold. So I am selfishly giddy to get some feedback from Ben. Ben got to see me on stage recently in a musical we have both on the podcast, off the podcast, and to relatives and friends of relatives of family railed against how bad it is.
How long did you have to practice your Australian accent to do that Thunder Down Under show, Matt?
Well, I wish it was just that accent, and I wish it was Thunder Down Under, but instead it was Oklahoma. Ben and Beth and the girls came on opening night, which was definitely not our best night. The show got somewhat better. It's still fucking Oklahoma, but Ben came to me after the show.
It's like pizza. You can have bad pizza. It's still pizza.
It's still pizza. It's the reverse of that. It's shit. Like you could have like a smaller shit that didn't smell as bad, but at the end of the day, it's still shit. So Ben, immediately after the show, I was
hold
like,
on. I'm sorry to keep interrupting you, but is that a thing for real? Is Oklahoma like a grade above Cats?
It is a.
I thought it was like a classic musical.
It is
I've never
a
seen
very dated and somewhat problematic classic musical, and your mileage may vary. Some people love it quite a bit.
With a very, very strange act structure and a lot of characterizations that make zero sense.
Correct. All of this is correct about it.
We have 4.5 acts in Oklahoma.
That's not far
that's
off.
kind of close, yeah.
The famous thing in Oklahoma they did, and our friend of the pod, Elizabeth, will at length tell you about how historically relevant and important this was, is it was one of the first book musicals, meaning a musical made with a story and not just like songs for song's sake. But at the end of Act 1, in the original production and in many productions, there is a 15 to sometimes 25-minute dream ballet
dance sequence
that recaps the whole show with a different ending at intermission before the rest of the show has happened. And when I say like the guy that was in our production that toured with it, he said theirs was legitimately 25 minutes. And that's 25 minutes after a long act. has gotten you through your first act of story, and then they're like, oh, by the way, here's a not just a dream ballet, it's all of the characters from the show played by dancers doing the ballet. It's not even the same actors. It's a fucking wild thing to do. But I asked Ben after the show, of course, I was very eager to hear his words, and he said, podcast. So Ben has not spoken to me anything about his reaction to the show, and this is now Ben's review.
Well, so if you would like to put on some dramatic music,
Oh,
here's what I did. I actually typed in my review into an AI algorithm. I'm not joking about this. I said, can you make this in sonnet form, like Shakespearean, like iambic pentameter, and gave it a few notes. And this is what it spit out for me. This was today. A bardic review of Oklahoma. In fair Lake Worth, where we lay our scene, a tale of Oklahoma unfolds, serene. Yet when the critics quill, I shall impart a review in the style of Shakespeare's art. The plot, alas, is but a tired refrain, derivative and lacking in true gain, for Oklahoma doth espouse values base, and morals that doth merit our disgrace. But lo, the stage a sight to quicken breath, with sense of grandeur rivaling death, a visual feast, a spectacle to behold, where craftsmanship and vision are extolled. And now to speak of actors, noble peers, whose performances doth ring in our ears, yet one among them doth stand tall and bright. The man who played Ali Hackham, a wondrous sight. His portrayal, a marvel, a true delight. Life-changing in its brilliance, burning bright. With wit and charm he graced the stage, a performance for the ages, beyond mere gauge. So though Oklahoma may not pass the test of moral virtue, it doth not jest. But in Lake Worth Playhouse a gem doth shine, with sense and acting truly divine.
Wow.
Not bad, right?
Thank you, Benny. That was quite an amazingly poetic and lovely review,
Well,
aided by the AI.
Thanks to the AI. No, what it comes down to is the performances were great. I actually really liked the entire cast a lot. Way better than the show in Oklahoma that I was in. And the set design was really, really fun.
Yeah.
And really well made. The show still fucking sucks. But I have to say I enjoyed it through and through, which is not something I could say about when I was
through.
Yes.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it was a surprisingly fun show to do for a show I didn't really want to do or like. And it's funny, like you always gain some little different of not appreciation, but you just when you're in it, you're just kind of like, okay, your brain wants to make the best of it that it can. And I'm like, I will concede that there's some good music in it. There's some good big numbers in it.
Some of the big numbers are great.
There's still just a terrible set of plotting in it, and like a guy trying to get a guy to commit suicide and an attempted rape, and there's a lot going on in that show.
Nick, I don't think you're as familiar with the show, but just as a baseline, in South Park, Bigger, Longer, Uncut, the song Uncle Fucker is based off of Oklahoma.
Yes.
Okay, so, I did not know that.
Yeah. So it's, UNCLE, fuck you, Uncle Fucker, which is the same as...
Oh, no. I know that.
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. Yeah, and so every time they were singing that, they go, Oklahoma, I was just thinking, suck my balls. And that made it immensely
I almost let one of those slip on, because we do, the only time I actually even sing that song is we do like a reprise at the curtain call, and every night I had to hold back of not wanting to yell suck my balls, so I would just yell the yow that we do with it, but suck my balls was always on my brain.
I've decided that I'm going to hold off on seeing any of Matt's performances until he lands my dream role for him, Annie Sullivan in The Miracle Worker. Otherwise, I thought you were going to say Mr. Mistopheles.
Well, you don't want to see me in a cat suit? Yeah, come on.
I think I want to really challenge you, Matt. I want to see some real acting.
If you don't think I'm challenged by getting in a cat suit and revisiting Magical Mr. Mistopheles, the song that accompanied the worst magical act that ever went wrong in my entire life at senior year of high school, you are mistaken, my friend. That's my Mount Rushmore right there. That's my anyway. Yes, thank you, Ben. Where I was going to go before, because I did not want to follow the Dune bucket conversation, was we saw another piece of theater at the beginning of January that all three of us witnessed that was fucking fantastic, which was the girls' production of Peter Pan, which I legitimately was blown away by both of the girls, and I was not sure that was necessarily going to be the case.
No, I mean, it was fun. I went to all three shows and wasn't tired of it.
Yeah.
In like a 24-hour period. So
the true parent test.
Yeah, the true parent test.
I mean, I literally could have watched Luna's background acting and mouthing of other actors' words every show for the rest of. I just want to watch any show like that. Like
we have to get that correct.
I will watch Hamilton with Luna doing that. I need to see more of it. It was so endearing and so wonderful, and also watching her, because of that, right the ship several times in the show when people were off of music, when people were dropping lines, when things weren't going, and Luna's like, I got this. I'll get us back on track.
Just get right back on track.
Yeah, I'm gonna just keep the ship moving and make sure that we don't lose it. But I thought it was fantastic. I know, Nick, I think you felt similarly happy with the production.
Yeah, I mean, it starts to feel like it's the closest that I'm ever going to have children in a play. And watching them kind of discover their love for it in almost real time is a pretty magical thing. My mom came as well to see this, and it also was great because it bought me like 4 months of not having to give my mother grandchildren. You know,
just 4.
So she was 4 months is about right.
Don't
she
worry,
gets her cup filled up, and
much like the Dune bucket.
Moana is in May, and then that might get you to the end of the summer.
I can't wait for Moana.
I don't think I can. The thing is, I don't think I can miss that. Luna is saying that she has 2 boys as her left and right claw, operating it like some sort of a little shop, which is like, okay, all right, you got me. I'll buy another ticket.
Only so many tickets I could get, but absolutely.
I know.
One of the most fun things they've done with that show is the claws actually have lines. Like the claws echo, the main...
That's great.
They're like Doc Ock's claws in Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, kind of. Right. Yeah,
they have little personalities. While we're on the subject of theater, I this is a subject I've been meaning to discuss with you, Ben. I don't know if you are aware of this. Do you know about the Lost Boys musical?
No,
that is being worked on right now.
No,
and
that literally sounds like an episode we would do.
And the creative team behind it is wild. So Michael Arden's going to be the director. He just directed Parade, the Parade revival. I don't know if either of you know much about the musical Parade.
Yes, I do. I've seen it before.
It is a very emotional and dark, and
I'm only familiar with the Black Parade. when I was a small boy.
Well, this is the Jewish parade.
Okay.
But so he's going to direct it. The book is being written by David Hornsby, which is a name you might not recognize immediately, but this is Cricket from Sunny in Philadelphia, who also is the co-creator of Mythic Quest, and has written and is an EP of Sunny in Philadelphia. The music is
the only problem is you have to know Crumpet.
That's where you Cricket. Yeah. That's a Nick staple there. And then the Tony nominee from who wrote the music for Tina, the Tina Turner musical, is doing the music for it.
All I just know is that the first thing has to be that no shall not
yeah, of course.
lie.
I just this really feels like a Mad Libs. Like, it feels like, okay, they're making a musical. What's it based on? And someone just like, Lost Boys. Name a movie. Lost Boys. And who's going to write it? The guy that executive produces Sunny in Philadelphia. It's unreal. But yes, this is... Oh, and there's a rock band involved with it, I think, as well. The Rescues released their... a band called The Rescues?
The what?
Who knows?
But anyway, I'm there. I will. This is Ben and I and Nick. We will go to New York and watch the Lost Boys musical and report back to it for the podcast, because I think this is the first time someone's come up with an idea as bad as the ones that we have done on the show, and now I have to see it. I have to know.
I mean, it's not being directed by Joel Schumacher, so
is Rain still living in New York?
New York State.
Because they would, I mean, they have the Kiefer Sutherland, like they have got, they could go for this movie.
Oh yeah,
I mean this musical, yeah. No, I mean they could be in it. They could audition for it.
That too.
How far do you want to go, Michael?
8 billion Chinese people can't be wrong. You don't like rice?
Rain also was the first person to tell me about the Point Break musical that they do out here in LA. Have you heard about this?
You showed me some of that, which is amazing.
The gimmick is they lean into the camp. It's pretty low rent, and they pick a complete stranger out of the audience to play piano every night.
Play Johnny.
This sounds like if they just got a budget.
Yeah,
pretty much.
You know.
I mean,
I'm into it.
What's also funny is so many musicals get kind of started and then they never. This likely will never see the light of day. But what could be is enough for me to just get excited and figure out when it might happen.
This summer, when we're going to be in New York, the girls are going to see Anne Juliet with my mother.
Ooh, nice.
Pardon me. Which is a jukebox musical.
Yeah.
And I was like, we're not interested in that. So we're actually going to go see Water for Elephants, which hasn't even come out yet.
Oh, nice.
But is apparently supposed to be awesome.
Yeah, that's got really big buzz behind it.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to
there's
that.
There's tons. I mean, there were so many shows like there's the Ohio one. Shucked was like another one. There's a lot of smaller shows that got a lot of steam this year, but they all close after, so little. Versus, I mean, I don't dislike it, and I don't want to hate on it too much, but like the only one that's succeeding right now is the Back to the Future musical because it's got the brand recognition built into it and people are going to it. But I mean, Lost Boys could be the next Back to the Future musical.
You never know.
I mean, it doesn't have Huey Lewis.
That's a low bar. Every time I watch a video clip of that Back to the Future musical, the music is so fucking bad. It's a product that I don't think I would attempt unless a lot of money was thrown at me, because it's just a pit of vipers. To make that actually good in a widespread sort of, acceptable way for many different audiences, no way.
Nick, it would be like if they made Ghostbusters the musical for me. It's like there's no way I would want to see that shit because it's like your favorite movie, and it's
got to be perfect.
It's not going to be.
But I'll argue that there is a middle ground, which is essentially Beetlejuice. Like Beetlejuice is not the movie, and it goes a pretty decent way out of its way to especially the second act distance itself from the movie, and it's very enjoyable.
Like a Hot Topic IP, I think is ripe for that the merchandise of a Hot Topic. That's where you go.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm not against. I mean that does bode well for Lost Boys, though.
It does.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Jesus
I
Christ,
got high hopes.
Is this the next Beetlejuice? The Lost Boys musical?
I think I need to go audition for the guy who plays the saxophone without his shirt on and just dances suggestively.
Sexy sax player.
That's my role.
That's a great one. I want to play the head vampire. Spoiler alert. Diane Wiest love interest. I think I'm of age now.
I would actually really like to play Diane Wiest.
We could be our first on-stage pairing.
You know who could be in this musical? There's this new actor on the scene. I don't know if you've heard of him. James Corden. Have you heard of him? He'd be great for this. Mm-hmm. He does musicals. You heard of this guy?
He's going to play both Frog Brothers. And he's going to be great. He's going to be fantastic.
Just cram him in there.
How dare you slander No Country's favorite sweetheart, James Corden? I love that countries are now vying to not take credit for James Corden.
I can't wait for the Frog Brothers to have their shining moment with their song. I don't know what that song is called.
Oh, I mean... We'll have to figure.
Batman number 7.
I think it could work. I'm excited. I will continue to monitor Lost Boys the musical and report back on the podcast as we see.
Has there ever been a saxophone solo in a major musical?
I mean, yes.
I'm sure.
Okay.
Many.
All right. Okay. Well, has the saxophone player been like a billed cast member?
Yes, more jazz type things. No, not as this character is going to be in their both like 1 o'clock and 11 o'clock numbers in the show, because they will have to make a return at the end. They can't just appear once.
I forgot where. I think it was on YouTube, and somebody was making a comment. Whether it was one of those kind of like Red Letter Media or somebody else, or when they were talking about, the movie or whatever, and like doing a recap of The Lost Boys or a rewatch of The Lost Boys. And I still remember in the comments, somebody was like, "Hey, by the way, that was me. I was playing the saxophone," and it was the most liked comment on YouTube.
Wow!
And
that commenter, Paul Mammalito.
That was actually the guy.
I know.
Have I told this story on the podcast before? I'm pretty sure it was Jeb who found himself at a wedding and was really particularly digging the wedding band that they had hired. Get a closer look at the saxophone player, pictured him shirtless, glistening, and said, "Wait a minute, that guy looks just like
you told
the saxophone player."
Not on the podcast, I don't think. I mean, you told me that.
And it was, and it literally fucking was. It was him. And I just like playing. It's like Garth. I like to play, and he does at any chance he gets.
I also like that finally his weird habit of picturing wedding band people naked and glistening paid off. It was the first time. It was a happenstance.
It helped with the recognition.
It was real lucky.
He still believed.
Do that. He still believed, like Santa Claus.
That is so awesome.
He still believed.
While we're talking about the podcast, I guess, or other podcasts, I do want to recommend an episode of Smartlist to everyone. Mark Ruffalo did an episode a few weeks ago, and he does, and I've never actually heard this writer-director, Kenneth Lonergan, speak, but Ruffalo's impersonation of him was so funny and so over the top, especially for like the people that listen to this podcast and the people on the podcast right now. It's all just kind of inside baseball movie shit of him talking about working on the play with him that he did that was like his big breakout, and then his movie, and talking about how the guy did not want him in the movie, but then had to reluctantly agree that he had a really good audition. But the impression is fucking hysterical. I highly, highly recommend it.
Okay.
What are you guys watching, listening to, talking about? We haven't talked in so long. Fill me in.
As far as podcasts, I've just been trying to stay up with 60 songs right now.
I'm a little behind on that.
Well, apparently we're only going to have 4 more episodes.
Wow.
So we're right up there now. But one of the more recent guests was like, my only goal is to get this to 150 episodes. It's the roundest number you're ever going to get to. And it sounded like they were almost like, maybe we will. So maybe there are going to be 35 more episodes. We don't know. We'll see.
Wow.
I wouldn't be surprised, would you?
I mean, it's a really, really popular podcast, and there are too many hit songs in the 90s. So,
I think I feel it's going to either be a spin-off or he's going to go to movies.
Don't y'all worry. Don't you worry your pretty little heads.
Today's episode was Black or White by Michael Jackson, and let me tell you, that was an episode.
Oh, I can't wait.
It was very interesting and very incredible.
That was such I remember that being such an iconic television moment of that video, coming out.
Heidi Klum was in it, wasn't she? All these supermodels.
Tyra Banks.
Yeah.
And there were like 500 million people watching it.
Yeah,
like,
it wasn't even the Super Bowl. It was just like it was premiere of the video.
It was on after The Simpsons on Fox. It was on MTV, on VH1, on BET, and one other channel.
Holy shit!
All at the same time.
They used to do that. Which was like
they did it with that and like a prayer.
And it was the biggest.
Only a few artists. Like today, only Taylor Swift and a handful of people could have gotten away with that. But they just don't do it anymore.
Yeah, it's wild.
I mean, Taylor's going to do it after she endorses Joe Biden at the Super Bowl, but like other than that, like no one does it anymore.
Travis Kelce's going to get down on one knee, propose to her, and then endorse Joe Biden, and it'll finally the prophecy will be.
He's going to propose to Joe Biden. They're going to get gay married on the field while Taylor Swift watches and pegs him, and everything they fear is going to happen all at once. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait.
Can't wait.
Must see TV.
They don't fear pegging. They just don't understand it.
No, they do it. They don't understand it, and they fear it.
Yeah,
but they do it. For sure, they do it. That's the one thing I know for sure.
Well, before we get into movies and TV, what anything new that you guys have been listening to? Other thing I've been listening to. If you like punk rock, the new Alkaline Trio album is fucking balls good.
Ooh.
So, yeah.
It's Alkaline. It's the trio.
Balls good.
The trio. Yeah.
Can't go wrong.
I never heard balls good before.
I don't know. I just said it.
Balls are pretty good, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, well, I guess it depends who's balls.
Yeah, it's true. It's got to be the right balls. I love balls. Balls rock.
It is tuned to popcorn bucket fuckworthy. There you go.
Okay, better. I will say the podcast that once I run through Smart Lists and 60 songs, and I started getting back in. I've listened to a few episodes, but I started really listening to Conan's podcast, and which I really, really enjoy. He had a phenomenal episode with Jordan Peele, but Jordan Peele described one of the greatest things I've ever heard, and it's very apropos for us because he likes to basically set up meetings with famous people, whether they be somebody like Conan, who's obviously a writer and performer, whether it's other directors like Ari Aster and other people. And what he does with them, he plays this game I have right up over here called Made Up Movies, or at least his version of it. And they do our movie pitch game. And they spend 4 hours bullshitting with one another and making up movies. And Conan, like, trying to describe this, he goes, it was the weirdest afternoon, because he's got him on there. He goes, am I allowed to talk about this? And Peele's like, yeah. He's like, am I going to spoil anything? And Peele's like, no. I mean, he goes, none of these things are necessarily something we're going to do, but we could. They could be a thing. We might have, and he's like, we made a movie together.
Well, that's how Tusk got made.
It's exactly like, but apparently this is like Peele's favorite thing, is just to get together with creative minds and play this game, and then also see if maybe that turns into something like a nugget of an idea or a thing. I was fascinated by this.
Well, I think it's cool. I've always liked working with others in the creative process, writing, whether it's sketch or screenplays. Very rarely would I write something all on my own. The collaborative process is igniting.
In college, I had an awful experience with that with my thesis film, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah, there we go. We did our thesis film together, of course, if people aren't aware.
Okay, we get it. You guys went to film school. Fuck off, all right? Jeez, we're all in the same podcast. Jokes on you.
No, I'm with you, Nick. Go ahead.
But what Peele's so good at is that is nuance and finding deeper meaning in shit. So you could take a ridiculous premise like an alien, that's shaped like a UFO, and make it this like incredibly symbolic behemoth that you're thinking about, weeks after you see it in the theater. It's really all about execution. If you get a room full of halfway talented people to come up with the most harebrained bullshit plot, and then get someone like Peele with a deft hand, you'd be surprised how often you can pull it off. It's just about who you have on your team.
And that's part of why I specifically, even especially for you guys, recommend listening to the episode. He says almost verbatim kind of what you're talking about, and talking about the collaboration and ideas and these things, and that and how important tone and everything that's going into that is what he does, what he likes to do, and it's also what Conan kind of compliments him quite a bit on, of being really good at.
I don't know if you guys ever watched it, but in the height of COVID, I was kind of connecting with a guy through a guy. And did this game
like a human centipede
on his exactly like that. Who I did his podcast, and the whole point of the podcast is, or the second half of the podcast was, it's almost like a Dungeons and Dragons game where you roll the dice and you get a certain number, and that means you are the bully or whatever. And there are all these parameters that get kind of cast around, and in the course of 20 minutes, you have to cultivate an entire story around the parameters that you're given. And it was a lot of fun. It was really like ended up being like we created a horror story where it was like a teacher had a dead wife that was haunting the school, but one of his students had found out a lot of the broad parameters were set, and then the two of us together had to discuss it.
Nice.
And very quickly figure out what the story was. And I love it when there's that kind of like idea or construct of just creating something that's brand new.
Sure.
Even if you're using something to kind of like jolt the senses of like, oh, here's something random that goes in like in the improv.
Yeah,
is what it is.
Yeah, and that's why I like the short form improv more than the long form in terms of like it's more fun for those little curves. Although I'm typically not. I will say of all of our the three of us especially, and I'll say Paul is better at it than me. I am the worst at the movie pitch game in this room. I get just insanely nervous.
You're
about
also
shit.
the hardest on yourself out of all of us, man.
That's true.
I'm the hardest on that Dune bucket.
I mean, there's definitely a lot less dicks in yours than Paul's. But
wasn't Paul's he got stuck to the bottom of a swimming pool?
inside of a
inside the
pool,
jet
right?
of a hot tub is what it was.
I think he was just working something out from his
And
past.
we kept giving him every opportunity to move on from that plot point, but we kept finding our way back.
That was the whole story.
And it was Harrison Ford was a dog.
No.
Or he was a dog named Harrison Ford, played by Harrison Ford. It was very confusing, but so funny. That's an episode I go back to revisit.
But see, Jordan Peele would make that Oscar worthy.
Yeah. That's the challenge. We're gonna go to Jordan Peele if we ever meet him and be like, "Hey, here's all you get to use. A guy gets his dick stuck in a drain at a pool. Make a fucking horror movie out of that, genius."
It's like 27 hours or
27 seconds.
127 seconds.
Speaking of which, Benny, how excited are you for a revisit to the Boyle, Cillian Murphy 28 Days Later universe?
Love it. Very, very excited about that. I always thought 28 Weeks Later got kind of a unfair shake.
We saw that together, didn't we?
It came out in 2007. So
Oh,
I don't think
maybe
so.
not. I think it's a great movie. Oh, I saw that with my buddy Spencer. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's Rose Byrne and Robert Carlyle.
Jeremy Renner.
Jeremy Renner. But I do think it's funny that it takes place in England and Rose Byrne plays an American soldier.
Yeah.
Which is always ironic to me. But no, I always thought that movie was really, really interesting and a nice follow-up and legitimately suspenseful.
Yeah.
And I was always like, it seemed like that franchise had a lot more meat on the bone. So I'm happy that Boyle and Garland are going back to it.
Yeah, it's exciting.
There is also something to be said about doing 3 zombie movies, right?
Yeah,
sure.
Like
the Dawn series.
It starts with Romero, and I know he did Land of the Dead. I know technically he did more than 3, but like, let's face it,
He did 3.
He did, but it's the 3 that cemented that lore. I just rewatched Day of the Dead with Amanda, and forgot how good that movie was.
It's
I mean,
good.
Dawn of the Dead gets and the original get all the credit. But man, when you're watching that movie, you realize how much zombie canonical lore really comes from that movie.
It was so far ahead of its time. It was really far ahead of its time.
And like that really to me was the first movie that really nailed like the real crux of the zombie story to me, which is you're not afraid of you don't have to worry about the zombies, you got to worry about everybody else. And like that was the first time you really like hammered that home. And you look at that and after you watch Day of the Dead, every Walking Dead episode is just like, oh, they just stole from Romero.
Well, and also just keeping with the conceit of 28 days, 28 months, 28
But-
years
and-
is
and-
also
and-
pretty
and-
cool too.
And again, that's like Romero of the Dead. You're
Yeah.
building a franchise, and like those 3 movies are iconic. So that Boyle gets to this point to do 3 installments of his where. And again, like another reason I love zombie movies is a lot like other horror franchises with monsters with rules, right? A really good zombie movie, even if it sucks, if it does one thing, if it contributes one thing to canon that kind of catches fire, I think it's a worthwhile thing. And with Boyle, it's like Return of the Living Dead, we never heard a zombie talk until, and then all of a sudden you hear send more paramedics, and we love that shit. Then Boyle introduced those lumbering slow ass zombies that everyone watching says I could escape from those guys. Oh, now they can sprint,
Yeah.
and he really contributed to a look too. The bloodshot zombie eye wasn't something that was really done until him. There are a couple things you could point at that you see are borrowed later on in other franchises, and that's what I'm like fascinated about zombie movies is what can you bring to the table.
Well, that and like in the blood even being the infection thing, that amazing shot of Brendan Gleeson looking up and that blood drop into the eye and being like, fuck. Like, it's so good.
And Last of Us is another, like, a big setup to Romero, and the big part of the story is the biggest thing to fear in a zombie apocalypse is the people, not the zombies. But their spin, Druckmann's spin with the fungal infection parasite is like another great addition to that lore. And when you're able to do that, even if the rest of the movie doesn't hold up to me, it gets a pass. And Boyle did way more than that. He's going to create a whole, trio of films that not only like stand on their own, but contribute to the canon.
You know what zombie movie I think I really like that's underrated is Warm Bodies.
With Nick Holt?
Nicholas Holt, back from 2013, the love story.
It's Romeo and Juliet with zombies.
It's Romeo and Juliet with zombies. It's so fucking good.
It's pretty fucking good. Yeah, because that definitely puts that new spin on it where you're kind of in a zombie head and kind of this like a trapped person.
Because it's told from the point of view of Nicholas Holt, who is a zombie, and he's like, my brain kind of works, but I can only do these certain things. And so it's almost like that other thing is told from a point of view of a dog, where it's like he realizes that he is like acting in this very zombified, weird way, but his brain is almost working on like a human capacity. Mm-hmm. And so he's not able to really control the way that he moves.
It's Awakenings, but with zombies.
Oh yeah.
Oh god.
But no, it's funny. And touching, and it's real fun towards the end, and then, it's the whole thing of, can a zombie be worth it? Loving,
Zombies are people too.
Zombies are people too.
Sounds like a delightful date night idea.
Warm Bodies, man.
It's a great flick.
It's like 11 years old, yeah.
I dig that one. Now, did either of you, I know Nick and I, we watched the pilot, but did either of you watch and finish The Curse?
I
wish I could. I don't get it. I couldn't get it on any of my streaming services. You need the premium package.
I will send you a Dropbox link with The Curse because it is. I'm going to say it is semi-required viewing because it's the most David Lynch thing I've seen that's not David Lynch.
Oh my god, I'm dying to see the rest of it. I'm dying. You made me watch the fucking Emmys instead of another episode of that
Golden Globes. And then people won that you were not happy with, and it was a downward spiral. But I like a good award ceremony. I'm sorry.
You like a bad award ceremony? That's
sure,
the problem.
that too. Yeah, he was real bad. That guy was terrible. Well, I wanted to talk a little talk award ceremony. This is a good transition, actually.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I will just say, please watch The Curse and then let's have a long talk about the finale because what I love is like the show built up very much like Lynch. All of these like theories and ideas, and everyone had all of these like. This is what we think is going to happen, and we think this is representing this, and we think this, and that. All of these things. And then Safdie and Fielder put out a finale that no one on the planet could ever have... Like, everyone was just like, well, no one was close. No one was even in the stratosphere of what they do in the finale. It is so unexpected. They're like, there's no one could predict this. It is an unpredictable finale. It is unlike anything I've ever seen.
I think I sent you this, but yet another time I wish you lived in LA. I was watching Nathan Fielder's Instagram stories, and they had just posted it. Like it's a minute ago. Posted. It was like, if you want to watch the finale with us and the cast, respond to this DM.
It was a big thing.
And yeah, but make sure you've you're caught up.
Yes,
is what he said.
Yeah, no, they did a whole kind of like dissertation and unwind of it at a theater out in L.A. and like that was released right after, like they did it the hour after the show, and then they put it recaps of it online, and then there's like. Then people were convinced that this was all just another big Nathan Fielder prank on us, the show itself, and like people theorizing. But I won't spoil anything more, but like Fielder also absolutely, in a very roundabout way, gave away the entire ending in something that he did, and no one noticed that it was happening. It was just a quiet thing it was right in front of our faces and no one saw. But please, I will send it to both of you. I'll send you Dropbox links.
So if our legion of fans don't want to feel left out or lost during our Nathan Fielder episode, start watching now. Oh my
God, I would absolutely do a Nathan Fielder episode at this point. My fandom between,
we gotta have Roz on. We gotta get Roz on the pod.
I mean, between the rehearsal and this, like he is leapfrogged into like position 3 of
what service
people.
Was the show on?
Showtime.
Oh.
So you can watch it on Paramount Plus.
My friend Roz worked with him closely on.
I would
Nathan
love
for
to hear more about this human being, but especially this is interesting because it is the first thing he's done that is a straight acting thing where he is playing an actual character and not like a Nathan Fielder creation. I guess, even though it is a Nathan Fielder creation,
it still certainly feels like him, but
yes.
He, just in the pilot, it's like, oh,
it certainly feels like it was for you,
and a lot of Benny Safdie too, which is.
Tell Ben the story about what your brother said at brunch.
Oh, this is really awful.
That's broad.
Tell the story.
That one time at brunch.
So we were at brunch for my birthday. Ben was there as well. But I was talking to him, and he was way ahead of me on the curse, and I was waiting so I could binge them all and watch them together. And so he tells me that Sunday morning, he's like, you got to watch it. He goes, he's gonna hate this, but the Benny Safdie character reminds me of kind of like a douchebag version of Nick. And so we sit down to watch it that night.
He did. Okay, I was there. Okay, I was at your table.
Yeah.
He didn't say he's going to hate this because he was talking directly to me, and he certainly didn't say douchebag version.
Oh, that's what he told me.
Benny Safdie. It's not exactly right, but it really reminds me of you. And I was like, oh, okay. My spider sense is kind of going off, but I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. Let me watch the show. The biggest fucking prick.
He's a producer. Listen, my brother categorizes things based on your job and a vague something that might remind him of you. Listen, this is the same person that told Ben that Ben reminded him of Andy Dwyer from Parks and Rec. Because why? Andy Dwyer sometimes played an acoustic guitar, and Ben sometimes played an acoustic guitar. So his one-to-one is not always one-to-one, I'll just say.
You're saying I'm not like Andy from Parks and Rec?
I don't think so. I hope not.
Ben, to be fair, Ben did exclusively write songs about miniature horses at the time. That's understandable.
I mean, the re-return was a lot like Mouse Rat. I mean, I don't know which came first technically, but like I do think there were some similarities between Mouse Rat and the re-return. But
that's funny.
And Gadwell Lane was like Hanson meets Ski School 2.
Jesus.
That's the best way I can describe it.
I love it. So yeah, we did mention the awards season. So we've had 2 big awards shows in the last month. We had the Golden Globes and we had the Emmys, during which a certain Matt Schenk appeared in a commercial for Oklahoma twice during the Emmys. If you were in the greater West Palm Beach area watching Fox 29, so thanks.
And why wouldn't you be?
What was even funnier is this guy that I worked with. He was a contestant on that game show, The Floor. I don't know if you've heard of that one. It's on it's a Fox show.
Not The Floor is Lava.
Not The Floor is Lava. It's a game show with Rob Lowe.
Oh, that one.
That one. So this guy had been watching for his episode to show up each week, and he was in every promo all the time, but his episode wasn't coming up, and he's like, so he goes, I turned on my game show one night. hoping to see my face. What fucking shows up instead of my face, but your goddamn face in Oklahoma? He goes, what the hell is this shit? Then I find out his episode was next week. But yeah, we had a good campaign for that.
It's crazy to me because people making those shows know exactly when it's airing, and all they would need to do is have somebody cross-reference the cast and let the talent know. But instead,
because they want
for talk shows too. Like, just never know. Like, we're just not going to tell them. They'll figure it out.
So an asshole like me tuned into that stupid show every week to watch this guy, not knowing when it would be, and every one of his friends. It's a smart way to do it because that makes them watch it.
Exactly.
Asshole.
I guess so. Yeah.
So yeah, there were lots of Emmy wins and Golden Globes, a lot of kind of expected things. I think on the TV end, Succession did very well. Better Call Saul was robbed as always, and we will never have a Better Call Saul Emmy.
I think it will go down as the most nominated show without one win. That's true.
It's unreal. Yeah,
it probably has to be the best show that's never won an Emmy, right? Like, is there something that comes close?
I can't think of anything.
Not a single Emmy? I mean, crazy.
Yeah, it was like nominated for 64 Emmys and never won one.
Absolutely crazy.
And it should have been nominated for more than that because they never nominated fucking Michael McKean.
McKean is the biggest snub.
Of all of them. I mean, Rhea Seehorn as well. But I love seeing Michael McFadden and Sarah Snook win and Kieran Culkin. I loved Succession, and it's popular, and it's nice to see that win. And they give great speeches.
The thing is, I don't think I'm ever not going to root for Kieran Culkin to win at an award show, because if I'm watching an award show, it means Matt's forced me to watch it. And if I'm watching it and Kieran Culkin wins, it's usually the only moment that I enjoy.
Yeah.
I'll always root for him.
He was great with Pedro Pascal too.
Every acceptance speech across the board is just like no notes. Notes from the German judge. Kieran knocks it out of the park every time. He's both funny and like sincere but flippant all at the same fucking time. It's a delicate ballet.
Well, I also thought, Nick, you would be happy to know. My brother kind of noticed this. I hadn't paid attention, but so they have outstanding variety talk series, and then they have another category that almost exclusively has been created because Last Week Tonight just wins every time, and they've like tried to move it into different things. But the outstanding variety talk series nominated The Problem with Jon Stewart, which is a show that only has 6 episodes a year sometimes, and also was canceled.
And not anymore.
And was canceled at this point, but they did not nominate The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. It's one of the weirdest. The Emmy. There were no Emmy nominations for Jimmy Fallon's Tonight Show, so I thought you might be happy to know that there's not a whole lot of love for that show anymore.
I don't care.
Trying to give you something. I know you're upset with other ones. In
my old age, I have way less celebrity grudges than I used to. I have way less grudges with people I've never met or will never meet, as it turns out. So
fair.
Here's one thing I will say. So when I would usually be way more invested in the Golden Globes and the Emmys, I also last weekend watched another pretty large award show, which is the Grammys, and I caught more feels in 10 minutes of that than I did in any of the other shit that I watched.
Interesting.
Yeah, so they opened it up with Luke Bryan talking about why he made like a little mini documentary about like how growing up Fast Car by Tracy Chapman was his favorite song, and how he always wanted to do a cover but never felt like the right time, and it finally felt like the right time. And so it's like, this is what's going to open the show, and it cuts to Tracy Chapman playing fucking Fast Car on the stage and them doing a duet. And it was so fucking awesome.
Wow.
And even Beth was like, are you tearing up? I was like, yeah. Like, like you have this entire auditorium like on their feet for Tracy Chapman. I was like, yeah, I grew up with Tracy Chapman. It was really awesome. So
the Grammys have stumbled and there's a lot to criticize, but one thing that they almost never miss on are those duets, those collabs. It's the only time where you see meaningful duets that wouldn't happen outside of the award ceremony.
Well,
And you get someone of Tracy Chapman's caliber, queer black woman with a 7 foot cis white man. It's pretty awesome.
Well, and it was also hosted by Trevor Noah, who is far better than anybody else who was hosting the Emmys or the Golden Globes. So I ended up watching way more of the Grammys than I expected to. I know that you, Nick, when you did work for the Grammys, I think that you said it was a fantastic gig, right? I mean, you really enjoyed it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I absolutely did. But, the Grammys also basically propped up Chris Brown's career after he beat the shit out of Rihanna and had him perform like that year, and they had him back. Their selection process is super flawed and restrictive over the years. They've gotten a little better. There's stuff left to be desired about the institution, but I loved working for the Grammys. And when you talk about award shows, I'm great with watching the Grammys because they're performances.
Sure.
I don't have the will to watch an entire Golden Globes ceremony. And my favorite parts of the Oscars were when Billy Crystal would have the video montage. At least with the Grammys, you're sprinkling in a little Dua Lipa as a treat in between, even if you don't care about an award. You at least get to see Miley Cyrus dress up like a Ghostbusters character in between.
There is no Miley, only Zool.
She had a little Tina Turner in there too, but
that's true. That's true. But yeah,
two Miley's into one man need.
It's funny.
Sign me up.
I actually didn't see the Emmys this year because we were in tech, but I watched the highlights. I like. Obviously Ben and I met at an Oscar party that he was hosting, so I have and I grew up watching the Oscars with my mom. Like it was like that was always a big thing for me. It was also like you get to see all
Oscars are
these,
different though.
Yeah.
You see all these I used to love the Golden Globes because they were all getting hammered, and it was always loose, and it felt like a little bit more like not punk rock, but just like it was like the one that didn't take itself as seriously.
You want punk rock? You go on the West Side and get those Independent Spirit Awards.
Listen,
wow,
those are great. I also like SAG and Critics'
SAG
Choice seem really good as well. So I'm moving on to
I got
other ones.
one other question before we move on here.
Uh-oh.
All right, I leave this question up to the panel. Okay, best statuette.
Ooh,
any award, best statuette.
The Emmy is the
angel holding the world, the Universal Studios fountain.
What's the one that's there's one that's like a round I don't think it's the Golden Globe. I need to see all of them. That's a great question though, Nick.
Golden Globe is round. I mean, I honestly, I think the Grammy's a nice little statuette. I think that's underrated, but I think I go Emmy.
I want to say that there's one of the other ones that looks really fucking cool, and I don't know it off the top of my head.
I'm going to go with the Nickelodeon Teen Choice Awards.
Yeah, that's pretty good, too.
Those are good. I mean, the popcorn for MTV is good, too.
Well, you can't fuck it, though. Wasn't the Nickelodeon just like a surfboard the whole award?
First of all, I beg to differ. No, there's one, I'm trying to remember. There's one that I feel is like round, it's not like a sphere, but it's like Art Deco kind of sphere-y thing, and I don't know what the hell the award is. The Emmy is pretty cool looking though.
Art Deco round award, huh?
I maybe I'm just imagining the award.
The raspberry?
Maybe I'm imagining what it is. It is the Emmy. It's what the Emmy's holding.
It's the
up.
Emmy.
They're holding up.
The Universal Studios fountain. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, I like
it. It's the Emmy. It's the Emmy.
It's a pretty great one.
And that's why the Telly Awards clearly stole that design.
I mean, you guys are in a business
ball.
where you could win an Emmy in your business, right? Like one of the technical Emmy.
A local
Emmy.
Local Emmy.
I mean, my brother could win an Emmy technically.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
If we do, we'll have it on the podcast. Then he can be on the podcast if he proves himself.
Win an Emmy and come back to us, Chris.
Yeah, get back to us when you got a couple Emmys, Shank. No nepotism here.
Get up on our level.
Oh my God.
No nepo babies, brother. All right, so let's talk. Let's get to the Oscars here, because I'm sure there are many thoughts circulating in terms of who was, and more specifically who wasn't nominated, and I'm kind of curious what everyone's general take is on the Oscar nominations.
Well, I mean, the elephant in the room is the Barbie omissions,
Sure.
of course, and Greta Gerwig not being nominated for director, which I think it is a travesty.
I mean, I think of like the one award I would most want Barbie to win.
Yeah, exactly.
And it would be director. It would be
Yeah.
director. And Greta didn't get the nom. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's fucked
And
up.
I haven't seen enough of the other ones because I wanted to look specifically at that category, and so I'm gonna probably see Anatomy of a Fall this week.
Well, Anatomy of a Fall, which again I'm probably gonna watch this week, apparently is excellent, and it was also a female director. I mean, like, I don't think it's that so much. It's just strange how
Yes,
that voting must have gotten split in some weird way, or there was just some sort of grudge against Barbie overall.
which is
who
weird
knows?
because they keep trying so often to like make this a more popular thing to watch, and they really just literally shoot themselves in the foot with her omission, other than it being talked about. But people are pissed.
Or the fix is in, and the only Oscar Barbie's going to win is Gosling, which creates a firestorm.
Sure does.
And drives Blu-ray sales.
I love how what was the one award ceremony that his song won?
I'm Just Ken.
And he's like, fuck. Like, even he's like, fuck. This should have gone to Billie Eilish.
What?
Like,
But
I'm
now-
so
now
embarrassed by this.
After Greta, after Best Director, the next slam dunk Oscar for me, and maybe even ahead of director, is What Was I Made For?
Yeah.
Maybe the most slam dunk best song winner that I can think of off the top of my head since Somewhere Out There. And I don't think that was nominated.
Since Blame Canada lost to
Since Blame
fucking,
Canada.
fucking Phil Collins Tarzan bullshit.
Now listen. In the moment I was mad about that, I re-listened to You'll Be in My Heart.
Fucking
That song is real good.
No.
It is real
Tarzan
good.
is unequivocally
Key
the worst Disney
movie.
music of
Yeah.
all time.
It's
Maybe
I
a
get-
worse
I get-
Disney musical than Tarzan.
I get chills every time he changes key. Phil Collins changes
I
key.
get
at the
chills
end.
from your Phil Collins shirt more than I do.
You'll be in my heart, 'cause you'll be in my heart. It's a mother's song to a child.
It stinks.
Oh, come on.
It stinks. It's terrible.
Well, all I want is for Poor Things to win Best Picture, just so that I can call my father and get his live reaction. I went to see Poor Things, and look, I know what you're gonna say. Maybe don't go to the latest Yorgos movie with your brand new girlfriend and both your parents over Christmas break, the first time she's ever visiting Baltimore. I hear you. I didn't
Fair
really know a
point.
lot about it. I didn't like The Lobster, but it didn't seem like it'd be super crazy. And everyone I trusted said, Poor Things is great. So, you know what? We went and saw Poor Things. I remember, as the credits roll, I slowly look over at my father, who is just sitting in this silently screaming. His eyes were as big as dinner plates, but his mouth was calmly fused shut. And to break the awkward silence, I leaned over and I said, I know, Dad. Don't say anything. You loved it. And I thought that would take some of the pressure off. That sent him into a rage.
Oh, no.
Sent him into a rage. I have never seen such pretentious pictures. And he ran in front of us and ran out of the theater in a huff. Amanda and I didn't love it. My mom really liked Poor Things. So
She did. She talked about it a lot here.
Imagine this dichotomy as we're leaving the theater. Amanda and I are both like, it was okay. It wasn't as good as everyone else says, but we were very uncomfortable the whole time. My mom, who's like, this is brilliant, and is about to read every article ever published on the internet about it. And my dad, who's like 20 feet in front of us, just like hoofing it to the car. Getting out of the theater he could breathe easy again because he was suffocated for 2 hours. It was an experience. The only thing I could have done to make that experience worse is go on mushrooms or something, or take hallucinogens.
I still need to watch Poor Things, and that's one of the ones that Beth really wants to watch. But I just had to mention my dad movie watching experience in the last month was that I'd have a fucking lung biopsy in Houston, Texas, sitting in a recovery room for 4 hours, and then say, okay, is there anything you want to do tonight? I was like, well, we can go see a movie. Well, I was like, Godzilla -1? And my dad was just like, sure.
Nice.
And so we went, so my dad and I saw Godzilla -1. Well, I was like bleeding out of the chest. And we walked out of the movie, and he was just like, that was really fucking good.
Yeah, very different.
Much different movie experience.
There was I don't know if it was on SNL or something. There was an absolutely like a sketch or a joke, and maybe it was something in Weekend Update that was your experience with Poor Things, Nick. That was literally like I was watching with I think it was like watching with their in-laws or something. You'd be like, well, made that fucking mistake. Like,
well, and the thing is, I've watched adult oriented films. My parents, art films.
Oh, you guys love porn. How do you say porn in Baltimore? Porn.
It's porn. It's
still porn. Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's no way to get the long A point. That doesn't work.
Let's do that again with your mouth.
Pornography. Porno.
From Boston.
There's no accent.
Pornography.
It's just porno.
Yeah, it's pornography.
It's porno for pyros. Or that was Australian. Damn it. Pyros, hon.
Sounded like you're doing some emo rock.
Porno for pyros.
Porno for pyros. Love it.
Anyway.
I have not. I honestly, I've seen so few of the Oscar nominees at this point. I'm going to try to be catching up on some in some downtime.
Yeah.
But
And Ben, did you see Godzilla -1 in color or black and white?
I saw it in color, actually.
I really want to see it again in black and white.
I wish I
it's
had seen it
great.
in black and
I haven't
white,
seen it
but-
yet.
And I remember feeling the same way after seeing Mad Max, and them announcing that, and I still haven't seen that because I liked Godzilla -1, I didn't love it. I liked Mad Max, I didn't love it. But when they both announced that there was a black and white version, and that's not even like a thing for me. But it's something about those two movies. I feel like I would probably like it a lot more. I can't put my finger on it.
The black and white Mist was superior, and I love that movie in general. But the black and white version, which they initially shot it in, and then the studio went and do it.
You had a black and white version of the point and click Aspire game.
Yes.
Mist
Mist.
with a Y.
No, I even know what you're talking about. I'm disgusted.
I love Mist. God, I love Mist.
I'm still waiting for the color version of the Lighthouse, where I can see what color that fucking mermaid was.
Listen. If I don't get to see Robert Pattinson jerk off in color, my life is not complete. So I'm just hoping. Here's
something
hoping.
in the way.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't jerk off in Batman.
I have to see Willem Dafoe be like, "You love my lobster, don't you?" In color.
This is such a random. I only thought of it because I played the "It Stinks" clip, but I've sent Nick one of these things. But I'm on like a TikTok thing, and I'm only getting bits and pieces of it. But every second is gold. Is a podcast with Bill Burr and John Lovitz, and it's the funniest goddamn pairing of two completely polar opposite comic styles, and neither one relenting from like their own bits,
just
and
roasting each other,
and then also laughing their asses off about it. But it's one of the weirdest fucking things I've ever seen. I don't even know which of I assume it's Bill Burr's podcast, and it's just Lovitz as a guest. But holy shit, is that funny as hell? So sorry.
Well, I'm glad. No, I'm. You're not thrilling anything, Matt. I'm glad to hear that you're using TikTok and you're not confused by any trends or even explain anything to you.
Thanks, buddy.
It's great. It's great. You're doing good.
Yeah, I got the one with the comedian from 1981.
Yeah, you're
I'm
on
really
Boomer
keeping
Talk.
up with the kids. Those 16-year-olds fucking love John Lovitz. If there's one guy, they're like, "Yep, I like that guy. That guy's amazing." No, it's good stuff. Yeah, I was curious. I mean, Ben, you haven't seen some of these either. my biggest question, and it's a very loaded question because I do believe that Greta Gerwig it deserves it. And if I was going to knock one out, even though I haven't seen the movie, I would knock out Scorsese. But I'm kind of curious of that director list.
I would not knock Scorsese out.
So who would you knock out of the list to make room for Greta Gerwig?
Well, I would need to watch Anatomy of the Fall first because I am not. Of what I've seen, let's just say.
And you liked Oppenheimer, which is a rare Ben sign off on a Nolan movie, but I
haven't seen Poor Things.
Oh,
and I haven't seen the Zone of Interest, which is supposed to be amazing.
Okay,
so I don't know.
I've heard great things about all of these movies, so it was one of those weird. Well,
Zone of Interest is still in theaters down here.
Yeah. Actually, I think that's what I'm going to see. I'm going to see one of those two this week. I don't know which one.
Yeah,
it's a good question, but yeah,
I mean, right now I can't really tell because I mean I've heard a lot of people say that they feel like the Zone of Interest is pointless.
Okay.
But I think some of those people or don't have the ability to contextualize maybe as well.
Are they the people that walked out of the lighthouse
the people,
and were like, "This is the worst movie"?
Or the people who walked out of Saltburn,
yeah.
You know those types of people, but who knows.
Oh my God, Saltburn. Friend of the podcast, Frank McGrath, hated
Frank.
Saltburn so much. He texted me over and over again. First he goes, "Have you seen Saltburn?" And I go, "Not yet." And he texts back, "Oh." And 5 minutes later he texts back. 5 minutes later he texts back, I wasn't going to say anything, but I can't hold it any longer. I hate Saltburn more than anything. It makes me want. I lost the will to live. I don't have any faith in the entertainment industry after this. It's on a full-on collapse. He got so upset. So I ended up watching Saltburn with Amanda. 5 minutes in, Amanda's like, "This is a 10 for 10 movie for me." I'm like, "What?" Like the credits of it even rolled. It's like 10 for 10. And at the end of the movie, I'm like, "Did your rating change?" She's like, "Nope, perfect film." And I'm like, "I liked it too." So I immediately called Frank.
Oh no.
And I told him what I thought of it. So later that night, I go to visit him, and he opens the door and he goes, "Hello, Nicholas. I thought you might want to tell my wife, Bridget, your feelings on Saltburn." So she hated it just as much as Frank. So then he's instigating this love it. Like booby trap. Walk through the door. He hands me a glass of whiskey, sits down in the corner, and just watches me now duke it out with Bridget after I spent an hour doing it with him. He just wanted me to put me through the gauntlet. He hated Saltburn more than anybody. And I go, "Listen, you don't have to like Saltburn. You could even hate it." But he said he lost sleep. He couldn't sleep that night. He hated Saltburn so much. And I'm trying to think if there's ever been a movie where I've lost sleep over because I hated it so bad. And Saltburn is not that bad. You don't have to like Saltburn.
Man, what do you have against Emerald Fennell?
I used to feel that way about Oklahoma.
He has a lot. He has a lot. Apparently, real privileged background, and once he poked holes in all the plot, and he goes, and the mermaid in the Barbie movie, and said everything handed to her, and she was, she was a rich kid, and so he hates literally everything about that movie. And I can't think of a single movie that I've hated as much as he hated Saltburn. So now I'm dabbling in my own movie review system, and I'm writing them in the voice of Frank from now on.
I love it. I love it so much.
Hey, have you seen the new Ghostbusters teaser?
Oh. You guys, how much I love occasionally.
I thought that was a great transition.
Being a
that was a great. That is literally the last time Frank had such a viscerally angry reaction to a film before Saltburn was literally Ghostbusters Afterlife.
There are times,
I agree with them on that one.
There are times I like to watch the world burn. When that trailer came out, I was so nervous in this group of people to say shit about it. I couldn't. I was like, I don't have the mental. My brain can't deal with this right now. Did you, by the way, watch the international?
The international trailer is actually really
I
really
really like the international trailer.
Really
other than the lack of Walter Peck, I love seeing Walter Peck in the U.S. version. But the international trailer, I think, is a far superior
trailer
storytelling device.
Is Ghost Ramus in this one?
No.
We don't
I
know
don't think
that.
so.
You don't know that.
Not interested.
don't answer that.
Yeah,
we don't
yeah,
know.
we
We don't know
We
that.
don't know.
I mean, Slimer's in it.
Yeah.
And you know what they'll do? They'll also have a deleted scene where there's Ghost Reitman directing an outtake that makes the Blu-ray. At this fucking point, I mean, it's fucking how you can muster any excitement for this movie is beyond me. It looks so fucking bad. I don't get it. Am I taking crazy pills?
Nick, that might be the funniest fucking thing you have ever said
Ghost
in your
Reitman.
entire life. Like doing it like the Pixar fake outtakes.
And then, yeah, the fake outtakes of Ghost Reitman. And they'll get Harambe in there, a ghost gorilla in the background.
It's going to be Ghost Reitman directing Ghost Ramus.
Right. Yeah. But they don't talk because
no, they just nod. There's a lot of nodding.
there's this
a lot
nodding
of meaningful
and
looks.
pointing. and then everyone will go, "What a touching tribute."
I want to make this with you and Ben, with you as Ramus and Ben as Reitman. I want to shoot this. I want to shoot it tomorrow. I'm ready. I have backers. I have investors.
More like wrong, man. Am I right?
Well, then you ruined it.
Am I right?
You were on a roll, Nick.
Anyways, Nick, I don't think it looks bad. I like Gil Keenan, so I'm gonna go in hoping to enjoy it. And then
Monster
I'll
House.
I do love Gil Keenan, but I'm not. You know what? I don't have the energy to fight Nick or to be on Ben's side, and I'm somewhere.
Oh no,
in
it's not
between
on my
between the
side.
two.
I mean,
Well, it's a side.
If it's awful,
This is a battle.
I'll say it's objectively
Love is a
awful.
battlefield, and this is a battlefield. I can't. I honestly.
I go in with low expectations.
When I forget which one of you, or maybe I had seen the trailer, I had fear. I had fear like the fear in the trailer, and I was like, I don't even want it. I don't want this in the group. I don't want to discuss it. I don't want to think about
juju.
it. I just don't. It doesn't exist. This is not here. So nervous.
That was a funny transition, though.
That was a fantastic transition.
Before we end today, I do want to throw out a couple of properties things.
I have one Oscar question for you though before we get
Oscar?
off this.
Okay.
Yes. So
And I had one more Cats reference I wanted to make too. So.
well, you
Sure.
keep that one in the hopper.
I got it.
Best supporting actor. Do we feel?
gonna be Downey.
Do we feel this is Downey's year? Do
gonna
we
be
think
Downey.
he can get it?
Well, can you run through the noms here real quick?
Best supporting actor. This is the Oscar. Sterling K. Brown for American Fiction. Robert De Niro for Killers of the Flower Moon. Robert Downey Jr. for Oppenheimer. Ryan Gosling for Barbie, and Mark Ruffalo for Poor Things.
So here's the thing: Gosling is not going to win. It is absolutely going to be Downey.
I hope not. He was good, but like God, I mean, and also, you know what else? You know what else makes me angry about this nomination, and it has nothing to do with people just completely missing the point of Barbie and nominating Ken for Barbie's movie and not Barbie. I'm mad because it just reminds me that Gosling can get a Best Supporting nom for this movie, but Sean Connery can't for Last Crusade. And that to me is the true crime here.
Defending a wife beater. Hot take.
So
I like it.
Just so to make sure we're on equal footing here, I was saying that he's not going to win.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Gosling's not going to win.
But he got the nomination.
Yeah,
You know,
sure.
I'm not even saying Sean Connery should have won that year. I don't even know who else was up for Best Supporting, but he earned that nomination as Dr. Henry Jones, and I will die on that hill.
Sure.
Defend that wife beater. It's such a hot take.
Yeah.
Nick.
Oh, by the way,
the hot take from 34 fucking years ago.
well,
That dead man beat his wife. He loved it. He'd love to talk about it.
and I'll beat the dead horse too. But I
Don't talk about his wife that way.
This podcast I thought was originally going to be less about the awards and more about what we watched over break. That's why I have my Poor Things prepared. But you know what I did watch for the first time in my life over break? Defending Your Life. I had not seen it.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Oh my
I watched
God, I
that
love that movie
before.
so much.
So now I understand your references.
I love that movie. It's a perfect movie. I'm going to just say that. That's all
I love it.
Go watch it.
love
Everyone else go watch it. I also want to watch that Albert Brooks documentary that
I watched the documentary.
Oh,
and then
nice. That's
then I
great.
watched the movie. Yeah.
two non-controversial things and then controversial things.
Oh boy.
There we go.
I thought that the end of Monarch was okay. It wasn't as good as the series set out, but it was fine. And I would like to see that show continue. That was one.
Yeah, I liked it too.
The movie ISS was really good. It was very...
That's the Ariana DeBose space thing?
Yeah. And it was John Gallagher Jr. Really fun cast and very taut, very fast, like 90 minutes long. Was
taut.
Was really, really, really lean. And I loved how lean it was. And
it's like you're describing a cut choice of meat.
I
am.
was thinking it was more of a dick. I felt like he was just talking about how lean it was and taut.
Or a Dune 2 popcorn bucket.
Let's just put it this way.
Wait.
If ISS was a dick, it could fuck that bucket.
It already has.
No. The last thing I'd like to talk about is True Detective.
Ooh.
I don't know if you guys are watching.
I have not watched yet. I've heard very conflicting things.
Yes.
No spoilies.
Okay.
No
All right.
spoilies.
So, for those who don't know, I am on this one side of the internet that is kind of football fandom, where I'm on this message board where people get... Well, first off, True Detective Season 1 is glorified as the greatest season of television ever put on celluloid. And I would agree, because I think it's actually correct. However, they glorify it in the same way that they glorify Christopher Nolan as the greatest director of all time. Where it's like, kind of without context. And a lot of times I feel like, it's just woke bullshit, it's women and blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, okay, well, none of that fucking matters. These people are fucking idiots. And I agree with that on that front too. It's taken this huge split. People who love the first two episodes and then are now like, this is the worst shit ever after the subsequent two episodes. Versus people who are like me, who still enjoy the vibe of a horror show in the vein of a True Detective thing. And so I'm still really enjoying it. And Beth is still very much enjoying it. But now the internet has gone to fucking review bombing it, which I think is fucking awful.
Our mutual friend Nancy told me that she said the pilot, she wasn't super into the pilot and did not care for Jodie Foster and was like, why the fuck is she doing this? And then something has happened subsequently to that where she's like, oh shit, now I'm fully on board with whatever's going on. I don't know what that means, if that makes sense to you or not.
The reason why that makes sense to me is because she becomes a more not more rounded character. She becomes more unlikable.
Hot.
Unlikable.
Lean.
Hot. Yeah, lean.
Hot and lean.
Productive.
Listen, if it's between a ribeye, a New York strip, and a filet mignon, Jodie Foster is a fucking beef tenderloin.
That's why we're not allowed to write reviews. Last Pint Productions says Jodie
Christ.
Foster is like a beef tenderloin.
Jesus Christ.
You realize?
God damn it.
Joke.
God damn it, Ben.
This is why we are not invited back to
No.
the Critics' Choice Awards.
No, for real though.
That's Jodie Foster, grade A beef. Jesus Christ.
Not like that Rachel McAdams from the other season. Ground chuck, am I right? Ugh.
No, she has become more unlikable.
Okay.
As the season's gone along. And really, like, oh god, man, she's awful. But it makes the show more fun.
Okay.
Because she's like, at first you're like, oh, she's gonna be the good guy. And it's like, I'm not sure if she's gonna be the good guy now at this point. I mean, she's got problems.
That's also the crux of True Detective.
Yeah.
It has been from the beginning, is what is the good of these two, whatever people you're following that are supposed to be in the good side of the law versus the bad side and that kind of shit. Which
Right.
I like. That first season is still lightning in a bottle. I've liked subsequent seasons parts of them for different reasons. I think I like third better than second.
Third's way better than second, but I would say this is better than both of those.
Okay.
I would say this is still, for me, kind of parse and par with that first season. And I would say, to me, in the last 2 episodes, I actually enjoy the character development of seeing the way that these characters are going, even without a lot of plot progression.
Gotcha.
I'm still taking it.
You don't have a problem with the True Detective franchise without Vince Vaughn?
Was waiting. I was gonna make a Vaughn joke earlier, and I left the room. I left the table open for you.
Well, thank you.
Well, to be fair, he was only in the second season, and
which was the worst season.
And he was only in.
Coincidence?
He was I will not say he's bad, but
He's bad.
He made Taylor Kitsch almost look. Well, he made Taylor Kitsch look better than him, which is saying a lot, because that is one of the most bland cardboard human beings I've ever seen.
And he made Colin Farrell look like he was fucking Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah, but Colin Farrell is fucking Daniel Day.
No, he's
he
not.
never fucking phones in shit, no
He
matter
never
what
phones
it's
in. He's a great actor, but
And if you don't believe Matt, rewatch Ben Affleck's Daredevil, because
he's fucking great in that movie.
he's fucking it is a bastardization of one of my favorite villains, and I still
And
love
he's
it.
so goddamn good with the fucking
He's so
stupid
good.
Dropkick Murphys soundtrack when he comes on, but he's still amazing. That is the best way to describe how good he is.
Which, by the way, new set footage is leaked. Every day just gets better and better as a Daredevil fan. Wilson Bethel is back but we get to see a fully realized Bullseye that's canonical with the Netflix series. When it got canceled after the third season,
Spoiler alerts? I haven't seen it.
it's
he's out there.
I ain't
Well,
watching. I've been keeping
listen.
in the dark.
wait, are you serious? You've never watched a Daredevil series?
No, I'm saying I
serious?
didn't know he was coming back.
Yeah.
Well,
no, it's been out
I
there.
knew that Foggy
they announced-
and what's her name were coming back.
Yeah, and they trickled that too. Like, for a long time, they really played it like, yeah, we brought back Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio, but that's all you get. Sorry, you should be happy with that. And they slowly started to leak it out. Everyone's going to be back. Frank
like that.
Castle, John Barenthal as the Punisher is going to be back. It is all canonical. They have confirmed.
Everybody but the fucking Iron Fist.
Right,
He's just sitting by his phone every day, being like, "Today's the day." You know what?
Yeah.
It's gonna have like, no, we brought back that cop from season 2 of Daredevil. That was in one scene. He's like, "Oh, not me."
Wah, wah.
So sad, Danny Rand. But you were not called up to the big leagues.
Yeah, sorry, Finn. They're going to recast that one. But,
Well,
everyone
we
else-
will.
I think Daredevil's a good place to end on.
Yeah, I think so. This has been a delightful chat with you, gentlemen. It is always nice. It's been too long since we got to sit and jaw about this stuff.
I feel like some of our best episodes are the ones where Ben ends it. Like, he's like, okay, this has gone on long enough. That's a good sign. I think we killed it today, guys.
It's when Ben turns into Michael Caine from the Batman movies, and he's like, I failed you, Master. I failed you. It's time to end. It's time to put down the cowl and go back to work.
That's exactly what it is. Holy shit.
It's so great.
Only I didn't be crying too.
I failed you. We want to thank you so much for listening. We are going to keep recording as much as we possibly can in the coming weeks and months, and tell us what you want us to talk about, because we are. Listen, we could do every episode like this. I don't really care. This has been super fun, but we do love a good topic. If you guys want to, or you want to guest on the show. You want to be on the show? Unless it's Chris. You gotta get that Emmy first.
Matt,
What?
please, turn down the desperation just a couple notches, please.
Please talk to us. Other than Chris Shank, who needs an Emmy, but everyone else, you're welcome. Like, just come on, whatever you want to talk about. No big deal. Thanks for listening.
We will accept everybody, but Chris, just to reiterate, you need to win an Emmy first.
Win an Emmy, and then come talk to us. We thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you next time. Cheers.
Cheers.